Ruse. Listening to a couple different news sources. I don't know how many things y'all can listen to at one time, but I got Tucker on one screen, me on one screen, and Fox and Friends or somebody on the other one, keeping us updated on the Rosenstein or whatever the fuck is. I'm just saying we need to get back to the Constitution by all measures, by any means. We have to get this country, USA, America, back to the Constitution. Fuck them all and feed them fish heads. It's all Constitution or it's fucking nothing. I mean, right fucking now.
But it got sort of slams on the brakes out of nowhere. You do too, not touch. You got and every mutual local raising rates over one mistake. You hear that there? The mutual doesn't know bridges. Pat Bruce here with what my wife is calling a new mission in my life. I'm telling everybody I can who's struggling with aches and pains about Relief Factor, a 100% drug-free supplement created by doctors for people who are tired of suffering pain associated with aging, exercise, and other everyday activities. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I got it very bad. It's all worked for about a year. I take it every day, 3 times a day. Pretty much woke up, laying in bed, roll over, look at her, and said, the pain is gone. I said, I'm glad to help. I said, I understand. And it just might help you too. Is it worth $19.95? Today to find out. 3-week quick start from Relief Factor may be all to lower or even eliminate your pain. Let's see if we can get you out of pain too. Go to ReliefFactor.com.
South Korea's president speaks out inside his meetings with Kim Jong-un and what it will really take to end North Korea's nuke program. Press Powerful Dream on Special Report Tuesday.
If you're in the market for a new home new vehicle, look for a big when you shop at Village Toyota during our season of savings event. Choose from hundreds of new cars, trucks, and SUVs starting as low as $179 a month. Plugging in a new Tacoma truck for just $292 a month, or buy with fuel money down. Village Toyota
And how to get you here.
more devices, more new streaming. Today, even more effort to stay connected. So we're making the best in-home Wi-Fi experience. We're giving our customers faster speeds, including upgrade plans at no additional cost. We've increased our speeds 17 times in 17 years, so you can keep streaming, sharing, and connecting like never before. Explain the future of access.
Attention homeowners. Quicken Loans has some very important information regarding the U.S. government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HUD. Nearly 3.5 million homeowners have already taken advantage of this fantastic money-saving program, but there are so many more of you who should be saving hundreds of dollars every month on your mortgage. Quicken Loans is here to help you save money. Why Quicken Loans? The home loan experts at Quicken Loans fully understand the HUD guidelines. We'll work with you to understand your specific circumstances and strive to find a financial solution that's best for you. Then we'll guide you through each step to make sure that it's both simple and easy. If you weren't HUD eligible in the past, and guidelines could be, and now you are. Give us a call and we'll give you a Quicken Loans mortgage. It's simple and easy. To learn more about this money-saving U.S. government program, call Quicken Loans today or go to QuickenLoans.com for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze.
All right, we want to bring you a Fox News alert right now on this situation with Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and the news that has been around him all morning now, and this idea that he went to the White House to potentially either tender his resignation or be fired. This is from Sarah Sanders right now. At the request of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, he and President Trump had an extended conversation to discuss the recent news stories. Because the president is at the United Nations General Assembly and has a full schedule of leaders from around the world, They will meet on Thursday when the president returns to Washington, D.C. Thursday, Kennedy. Oh, how weird. That sort of plays into my theory that this is all to get Kavanaugh off of the front page and off as well. Thursday is the dual testimony between Dr. Christine Ford and Judge Brett Kavanaugh. They're both going to go before the Senate Judiciary Committee. She'll go first and he'll go second. She will publicly make those accusations under oath, and he will answer to them. This is a very dramatic day. This is incredibly pivotal, not only to the Supreme Court, but for Judge Brett Kavanaugh's future career as a jurist. And if this is happening, if Rod Rosenstein might resign, he might get fired on Thursday. It just takes some of the attention away from that.
Wasn't the news that he already had been fired or resigned or break this morning? So this, either way, he's in the job until Thursday. This kind of undercuts a lot of the reporting, and I wonder how many sources were actually involved in this reporting.
See, that is the journalism that I'm talking about. I mean, so from watching this morning, it was very complicated to figure out who knew what. And, you know, for people who were watching, Fox News was still, you know, we're just kind of reporting it as it's happening, but we're talking about the possibilities because of the article that's come out, because of the conflicts of interest that our reporting showed. But you did have some that had jumped the shark so far that the sharks were on the beach.
It's not a good look. Not a good look for reporters, and they have to decide whether that. And I don't think Jonathan Swan does this, but for a lot of them, the bar is ethics here, resistance here, and they're going to write history, have history classes on this in the future, and how journalism changed under Trump, and if it can ever come back.
And again, it was always a possibility that they talk today and something comes after the midterm election.
I mean, yeah, that's what I actually thought was going to happen. I mean, Jonathan Swan has been great on a lot of things, so I certainly am to your point say this doesn't, I don't think, undercut any of the reporter here, and it's been quite clear that Chief of Staff John Kelly is quite on it, and it seems like that's kind of his unique. Yes, but I actually thought that Rosenstein would go in there and talk to him and remain in the job. That it would be a clearing of the air, because I think the president has been instructed enough times that firing Jeff Sessions or Rod Rosenstein is incredibly bad for a midterm process, and that in November there will be a full reevaluation.
Well, and that could be exactly why we saw that leak to the New York Times, that the president knows it would be unwise to fire ahead of the midterms, and that's
everybody.
Leaking to the New York Times are trying to goad him into doing it the
And
same way.
here we go.
Well, maybe the ones he said.
Speaking of leaks, if you have 4 different stories circulating within the White House, and then you see them in 4 different places, you can then see who is the source for which publication. And this may be a way not.
Here I go, I'm live. Coming to you live from beautifully, almost downtown, Yankee Town, Florida. I'm just a short distance from there, about 11 miles out of Clearwater.
It looks like the police are not investigating that.
Ooh, I think I'm in paradise. I put in a request from a woman, and Jesus got one on the way, so I'm kind of anxious to see who it is. I don't know her by sight, and I ain't seen her yet. I know that. So, yo. Oh, hell, I can send this to somebody.
For $5 million. Investing, advice, banking, retirement.
Check your local listings. All right, I brought in new Max Protein to get you the protein you need with less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. New Ensure Max Protein in 2 great flavors.
It's a new day in America. Everywhere you look, things are improving. Our president promised and executing his word. Thanks to President Donald Trump, more people are going to work today, and millions of jobs have been created. Tax relief means more money in paychecks. Retirement funds have stopped harming, unleashed, and roaring back. The mainstream media, they want to bet, but the leadership of President Donald Trump is making America's economy great again.
In the steel industry, we dedicate our careers to supporting this country, making products that build infrastructure and skylines, creating jobs, supporting families. And when domestic materials are used, the money stays in our communities. That's what really matters. These people, these places, that's worth supporting.
Some job boards give you tons of the wrong resumes. That's not smart. Then there's smart. ZipRecruiter finds people with the right skills, education, and experience for your job and actively invites them to apply. So you get qualified candidates fast. That's why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Fox.
As one of the nation's largest investors in infrastructure, we don't just help power the American dream, we're part of it. This is our era. This is America's energy era. Next era energy.
Life happens everywhere, like it never even happened. Only happens here. The cleanup and restoration specialists at 1-800-SERVPRO and SERVPRO Days.
I got your text lately. Doug, when I snap my fingers, you're gonna clean my gutters. Ooh, I should clean your gutters. Great idea.
It's not just easy, it's Geico easy.
We'll go make me a frittata.
All right, thanks to Chris Bedford Boyd. A newsy day. Got any final thoughts for us?
That's a fun week. You know, I just think that something Republicans should be focused on is what other voters are going to come out and vote for in November. Mitch McConnell.
Wow. Hey, yeah. God is good all the time. Says I love Jesus. Right there. If I ever do this.
Tomorrow, but now here is Harris. And we continue the coverage of breaking news this out. The White House is saying President Trump Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein on Thursday returns to Washington, D.C. This amid growing questions about Rosenstein's status. We'll go out of time now. I'm Harris Faulkner. A source has been telling Fox News Rosenstein attended a
Testing 1, 2.
meeting at the White House.
Looky there, boy.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
Say looky there, boy.
Rosenstein is facing fallout after a New York Times
Anyway,
report claiming
by
he
God.
suggested secretly recording the President of the United States and discussed the
Wonder how I know if anybody's here.
members to invoke the 25th Amendment
How do I
to
get
remove
him?
the president as quote unquote unfit for office. Rosenstein
Live
denies
control.
that report
Let's
and
see
has
what I
done
can
so
do.
over and over. Democrats are stepping up warnings to President Trump not to fire Rosenstein. Senator Patrick Leahy tweeting, Saturday night massacres don't need to happen on a Saturday. If President Trump fires a DHZ Rod Rosenstein or forces his resignation, he will come one giant leap closer to directly meddling with the special counsel's Russia investigation, end quote. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herrick is live for us.
Yeah, you let fucking try that.
The story shifted with a firm statement from the press secretary just moments ago about why Rosenstein is at the White House today.
So we just received a statement from the White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, and it now confirms several facts and also a timeline for developments with the Rosenstein case. And it reads, at the request of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, he and President Trump had an extended conversation to discuss the recent news stories. Because the president is at the United Nations General Assembly and has a full schedule with leaders from around the world, they will meet on Thursday when the president returns
Yeah,
to
I guess I'll
Washington,
go live the
D.C.
26th.
Before that statement was issued by the White House, we had reaction from the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff, and he said under no circumstances should Rosenstein offer to go.
He shouldn't take a step affirmatively and essentially let the president off the hook. This looks to me like a slow-moving Saturday night massacre. It seems like the only question is whether these steps take place now or they take place after the midterms when the president believes he'll pay less of a political price for it.
Source familiar with White House discussions over the weekend told Fox News they focused on whether Rosenstein was, quote, compromised based on multiple conflicts of interest. Rosenstein is a likely witness in any obstruction of justice case against the president over the firing of FBI Director James Comey. Rosenstein signed the FISA surveillance warrant for Trump campaign aide Carter Page
and he's a witness, therefore, in the Inspector General's investigation. Rosenstein also figures in the so-called McCabe memos that were first reported by the New York Times at the end of last week, indicating that he allegedly discussed wearing a wire and the 25th Amendment. And there's also a renewed focus among the president's advisors on Rosenstein's decision to appoint Special Counsel Robert Mueller in mid-May of 2017, shortly after Mueller interviewed with the president to be Comey's replacement as FBI director. As you know, Mueller was FBI director for 12 years under Presidents Bush and Obama. Special counsel investigation really, frankly, is well established, and our contacts say that if Rosenstein was removed, it would continue apace. In terms of a leadership position, it would be the Solicitor General who would be next in line.
A lot to discuss. Paula, let's start with you. We do know that Rosenstein was at the White House, had a meeting already, and moved on to another meeting. What does all of this tell you?
It's been quite a morning for our Deputy Attorney General. He met with General Kelly, and we are told that he went into this meeting expecting to be fired, but he was not fired. And in fact, he then left that meeting to go to a cabinet official meeting, something that was previously scheduled, and he was attending that on behalf of Attorney General Jeff Sessions. One thing I just need to point out right now that I'm starting to work out in my reporting is that there's something we're not talking about right now, which is Kavanaugh. Right now, I'm asking my sources whether or not all of this and suggestions that Rosenstein was going to the White House, that he thought he was going to be fired, but he wasn't fired, and we're going to carry it on Thursday. Whether or not in any way this was perhaps an intentional distraction because he was already scheduled to be at the White House. I just think we have to approach all of this incoming information with a little bit of skepticism.
So this could all be much ado about nothing. He may not get fired and he may not resign. Is that what you're saying?
He's still the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, as he was when he woke up this morning, and it looks like he will be until Thursday. So it's interesting to me that he was already expected to be at the White House for a cabinet level meeting, but all of these reports
about Rod Rosenstein. And Ken, I want to ask you, would it matter if Rosenstein is fired or he resigns? Ultimately, does that make a difference?
Because in both the short term and the long term, if he was fired, it would be difficult for the president to then name a replacement of his choice, of his liking under the Vacancies Act. He would have less control over the line of succession. If Rosenstein offered to resign, the president would tend to have more of a leeway to do that, and that would likely lead to Noel Francisco, the Solicitor General, taking over the role. In the long term, there's also this issue of if Rosenstein was fired, that might raise concerns among the special counsel's office that the president could be committing some sort of obstruction here. And so it's very important when we finally figure this out, what the distinction will be.
Right, absolutely. So Caitlin, I want to turn to you now. We just heard that Noel Francisco would take over potentially if Rosenstein either steps down. What do we know about him?
Well, I think Paula knows him very well. Oh, you do? You've been reporting? Yeah. He's someone I encounter in the halls, and I'm always asking him every time I see him. I see him outside of DOJ smoking cigars. I'm always like, come on, tell me, would you take over Mueller? Would you fire him if you were asked? And he always ignores me, but he's the Solicitor General, and he's the one who handles any sort of litigation on behalf of the U.S. government in front of the Supreme Court. And it's very unusual for the Solicitor General to be in the line of succession.
Right, he's not the typical person.
Exactly. Yeah, usually you have a number one, a number two, and a number three, and then you can go to various component heads as well. But what's so unusual at the Justice Department now is you have an Attorney General who's recused himself from the Mueller. The number three, Rachel Brand, she went on to work for Walmart. Her replacement is not confirmed. So that's how he would possibly inherit the Mueller investigation. But it's unclear, even based on my reporting on him, whether or not he would be deferential to the president in those key decisions. Right. Because if you're in charge of the Mueller probe, not only are you sort of the final rubber stamp for any charges or indictments that are brought, you are also the one who's going to have to make the final decision what to do with the big report that Mueller issues at the end, which isn't coming time soon, let me tell you. But you would have to decide if there's any possible criminal evidence against the president. Do you hand that off to Congress? Do you stick it in a drawer? Do you release it to the press? There is no rule for that. So it's up to this person. So it's incredibly important who's in that position.
And is there any indication on how Noel Francisco thinks about this?
No, I keep asking.
Yeah,
He ignores me.
You
Yeah,
won't answer that
he won't
question.
answer my question. He just smokes his cigar and pretends like I'm not there.
Oh my gosh. So given to Paula's earlier point that perhaps this is a distraction coming out of the White House, what do you think?
Well, it's really interesting because if in fact Rosenstein and the president meet on Thursday, as Sarah Sanders, the White House press secretary, said that they would do, that also happens to be the day that we're supposed to have the Judiciary Committee hearing at which Kavanaugh is expected to testify, and negotiations are still underway between Christine Blasey Ford, who has accused Kavanaugh of sexual assault while they were in high school, whether she will in fact appear at that as well. Democrats have been calling for a delay in light of new allegations that have surfaced in reporting from the New Yorker. So that's where you could have these two storylines coming to a head, none of which would be good for the president politically. What's really interesting to consider too is the idea that a lot of Democrats had opposed Kavanaugh's nomination to begin with because of statements that he had made previously about whether the president could be criminally prosecuted as it relates to an investigation. So Democrats had raised a lot of concerns about how Kavanaugh would respond to that. So there you have all these different kind of storylines and threads coming to a head.
Absolutely. All right. So Ken, I want to turn to you now. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was one of the first senior Trump administration officials to react to the New York Times Rosenstein report. Here's what he started on Sunday. Let's listen.
To be on the team, if you're not supporting this mission, then maybe you just ought to find something else to do. I've told that to my senior colleagues. I've told it to junior folks at the CIA and the State Department. We need everyone who's engaged in helping achieve President Trump's mission. And I hope that everyone in every agency, DOJ, FBI, State Department, is on that mission. And if you're not, you should take this time to go do something more productive.
Got to be on the team. So, Ken, as we know, Attorney General Jeff Sessions' fate has been hanging in the balance for quite some time now. Where does this leave him? Would this make it harder or easier for the president to get rid of his Attorney General?
The president has indicated previously that he wouldn't make any decision on Jeff Sessions' fate until after the midterm elections. And I think it's important. This is not happening in a vacuum. Jeff Sessions still remains very well regarded in the Senate. He's a former Alabama senator. Now the White House needs votes for Judge Kavanaugh to get him across the finish line. So it's unlikely that the president would do something like fire Jeff Sessions on the cusp of this vote for Kavanaugh. But if Rosenstein leaves, you have to think that, in the next few months, Sessions' time there at the Justice Department could be numbered. And it's important to keep in mind that the reason Rod Rosenstein has been overseeing this investigation is because Jeff Sessions was the one who recused himself. And it's something that the president continues to harp on to this day. He felt that Sessions betrayed him by making that decision to recuse himself. And so it's helped back in the president's good graces. But I don't expect that it would happen immediately. I think they need the votes in the Senate, much too much. It's much too important for that as it relates to Kavanaugh.
Treading in dangerous waters here, though. So, Caitlin, I want to ask you this next question. The Democratic lawmakers for months have been calling to take action to protect the special counsel. Mm-hmm. How does all of this affect what they want?
Well, that has been in their interest for the past several months, but it has always been pointed to by Republicans as lawmakers about the need to protect the counsel investigation. You did have a few lawmakers put forth legislation, Tom Tillis and others among them. But by and large, what you would hear from Republicans is that the president isn't going to do that. There is no need to actually put this in legislative form because we don't expect he will do that. The question I have as of today, even though Rod Rosenstein does remain the Deputy Attorney General of the United States,
Does this prompt lawmakers to revisit this legislation and say, this is no longer quite a hypothetical. We've had a little bit of a fire drill this week, if we can call it that. And so do we need to have something in place to place some parameters around the Mueller probe? Absolutely. Caitlin Huey Burns, Paula Reed, Ken Thomas, thanks to all of you. We could talk about this much longer, but we've got to move on to Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, who is pushing back against new allegations of sexual misconduct. On Sunday, the New Yorker reported another accuser, Deborah Ramirez, claimed Kavanaugh pulled down his pants and exposed himself to her while the two were freshmen at Yale. She is calling for the FBI to investigate the incident. Kavanaugh denies the allegations. Now, this comes as Kavanaugh's first accuser, Professor Christine Blasey Ford, has agreed to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday about an alleged sexual assault that happened while the two were in high school. Kavanaugh also denies those allegations. This morning, the president said he stands by his nominee.
He's a fine man with an unblemished past. These are highly unsubstantiated statements from people represented by lawyers. You should look into the lawyers during the representation. Judge Kavanaugh is an outstanding person, and I am with him all the way. We'll see how it goes with the Senate. We'll see how it goes with the vote.
CBS News Chief Congressional Correspondent Nancy Cortez joins us now from Capitol Hill. Nancy, how are Republican lawmakers responding to these new allegations laid out in the New Yorker article about Kavanaugh?
Well, they've been quite quiet, actually. We did just see a tweet a short time ago from Lindsey Graham, who said that the committee, the Judiciary Committee, should go ahead with this hearing with Christine Blasey Ford on Thursday and then vote shortly thereafter. But beyond that, we're not hearing a ton from Republicans right now. It is clear that they're still digesting this new information about a second accuser. They want to be able to meet with one another and figure out exactly what they're going to do going forward. Democrats, on the other hand, have been quite vocal. You have a number of them calling on Kavanaugh to withdraw his nomination. You've got a number of them, including Dianne Feinstein, saying that this hearing with Blasey Ford should be canceled altogether now that it has been scheduled, because they think that the fact that a second accuser has come forward just shows why the FBI needs to investigate. And of course, everyone is sort of on tenterhooks waiting to see what the lawyer Michael Avenatti has. He says that he represents a new client who also has information.
What can Nancy, do you have any more information on that? That's sort of what everyone wants to know, this mystery third woman. Do we know anything?
Yes, we do have some information, and I've been on the phone recently with Avenatti, who's actually appearing in court in California later today in the Stormy Daniels case. So he's kind of working both ends of the country right now. But he says that this is a woman who was a contemporary of Kavanaugh's. So she went to a public school near Georgetown Prep, where Kavanaugh went to high school, an all-boys school, and was at multiple parties with him. And Avenatti hasn't gone into too much detail about what transpired, but he has tweeted and has written letters to the Senate Judiciary Committee alluding to bad behavior.
After 100% of your home value, you need to answer your family. Call New Day USA. With automatic authority from the VA, we can say yes when banks say no. Give us a call. Call now.
Their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Last week I read 2,300 Humvees. These are big vehicles. Were left behind for the enemy. 2,000, you would say maybe 2, maybe 4, 2,300, and the enemy took them. You're right.
I can just say this. More people are in this country right now illegally than ever before. I will build a better wall and I'll build it cheaper, and Mexico will pay if that's your next question. Yeah, how do you get Mexico? Because they are ripping us left and right. By the way, I love the Mexican people. Many Mexican people work for me. Many Mexican people I do business with. They purchase things for me like apartments, etc., etc. I have great relationships with Mexico and with the Mexican people. I love the Mexican people. I love their spirit. I will become.
Well, Caitlyn Jenner required no introduction. Tomorrow, Jenner is releasing a new memoir called The Secrets of My Life, which chronicles the long journey from Olympic champion to Kardashian clan member to becoming the world's most famous transgender person. Caitlyn Jenner joins us. Mike, thanks a lot for coming on.
Well, thank you. Nice to be on your show. First day. Let me welcome you. Yeah, you've been running around. We're trying to find a spot for you. Yes.
Hopefully I'll stay for a while.
Hopefully you'll hear for a while. Yes.
So you've been called courageous a lot. It seems to be one of the braver things you did was voting for Trump while living in Malibu and telling people about it. What did your neighbors and friends say when you did that?
They were fine in Malibu with it, but let's put it this way. I never actually came out and outwardly supported Trump. The media did that for me, being our candidate, and so certainly I was going to vote for him. He looked like he would be pretty good on all LGBT issues, which is important, because my loyalties do not lie with Donald Trump. My loyalties do not lie with the Republican Party. My loyalties and what I'm fighting for is my community, the LGBT community, and particularly the trans issues that are out there, because there are many of them. And so that's where my fight is. And I thought Trump would be pretty good, but he's kind of disappointed me in the first 100 days. Right. Well, on those issues.
Aside was this is an election with Hillary Clinton in it, who is obviously strong on LGBT issues, took a lot of money from LGBT groups. It seems like that would be a no-brainer. Why didn't you vote for her?
Because I'm not a one-issue voter. Yeah. I believe in limited government. I believe in our Constitution.
Yeah.
I believe I would rather convince the Republican Party to do a better job when it comes to all LGBT issues than to try to convince the Democrats to lower taxes and lower regulations and let our country thrive, financially and economically.
No, that's a really interesting point. And I thought you were going to say that. It's obvious you feel that way. You wouldn't have done it. Isn't there a lot of pressure, though, on you specifically to be a one-issue voter? And how do you respond? How do you deal with that?
Totally agree with you. A lot in our community are. They were very upset that I was a Republican, and I said at the Republican National Convention, I said it was harder to come out as trans than it was to come out as a member of the Republican Party.
Right.
And so, yeah, from that standpoint, it's been pretty tough. But we have tremendous issues in our community. I talk a lot about it in the book. We have a murder rate that's out of control right now. Already this year, we've had 9 trans women who have been murdered just since the first of the year. We have a suicide rate which is 9 times higher than the general public in the trans community. And I sometimes get very disappointed with Trump, especially when he went up against Title IX and they repealed Obama's equality on Title IX. And Jeff Sessions has been very kind of anti-LGBT. I know on March 10th, there was a letter sent to him to try to prosecute the murderers of these trans women as hate crimes, which has been done in the past, and he never even responded to the letter, which is extremely disappointing to me. So, yeah, there's a lot of issues out there for our community that I'm fighting for, and I want the Republican Party to do a better job.
I wonder if it's not just enough to prosecute someone for murder. Is that not enough? I mean, since everyone's an American and all lives are equal, the lives of transgender people and the lives of everyone are equal. Why wouldn't it be enough just to prosecute murder?
Yeah, in 2008, Ken Buck, congressman from Colorado, was the first one to prosecute somebody under hate crimes. Obviously, the verdict is a lot more difficult. It's a lot tougher on a hate crime issue than it is on just a regular murder. And too many times, trans women who are murdered are, making excuses. That's not the case. We need to protect all Americans, including my community. So it's important that we get serious.
Well, but I agree with the first part of what you said completely. It's important to protect every American, but you can put yourself in the position of someone else. If someone you loved were killed and the murderer received a lesser sentence because your loved one was not a member of the trans community, you'd say, that's kind of unfair. We're all Americans.
Yeah, it is unfair. But we've got other issues too. Our murder rate is just so high. Right now, we've got that I'm really concerned with kind of the next move for the Trump. Mark Green, who's a Republican Tennessee senator and up for Secretary of the Army. And this guy has come out with some of the most anti-LGBT statements ever, calling me a trans person as a disease. I need to tell Mark Green I don't have a disease, okay? He called about fighting the bathroom issue as the Bible tells me I have to go after evil, and I'm not an evil person.
Okay, well, I'm not, I don't think anyone's suggesting that you're an evil person, but I do think there are some deep questions that people of goodwill and good faith can ask. So you said I think a pretty convincing way, you believed you were a woman from early in your life, from really in the beginning. You knew that this is who you were, but you couldn't come out and express it. But does that mean that you believe that gender is biologically determined? Because that's kind of the opposite of what a lot of people are saying.
No, actually, a lot of people are saying it is genetic. I was born with this. You made a statement last time when you were with Jillian Weiss. You were coming up with this scenario of, a guy 35, all of a sudden, hey, I'm trans, and I'm going to go, be a woman now, and then I'm going to get federal funds for women's issues. That does not. It's not something that's just a whim.
Hold on, just to be clear, I would never argue it was done on a whim. I don't believe that, and I didn't mean to suggest that. But I do think that there are real life issues around this question. And here's one of them. It has to do with sports, something that you know obviously very well. A transgender woman just won a major weightlifting title. And some people said, well, this is someone who has a massive physical advantage over the other entrants in that contest. And that seemed like a real thing to me.
We're kind of getting off the subject of what I talk about in the book, because the talk about in the book is about my journey. But to answer that, the Olympic Committee is way ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to dealing with identifying transgender issues and competing. All the way back when I was competing in the 70s, all the women had saliva tests to make sure their DNA, that they were female, because we had the East German women and the Soviet women and all that kind of stuff. Well, since then, there has been a lot of kind of gender non-conforming. We don't quite know where they fit into the athletic world. And the Olympic Committee has done 20 years of studies on issues of hormone levels, of whether you need gender confirmation surgery, but what can you do as a trans person to be able to compete as your authentic self?
Right.
And they've come up with guidelines. You meet those guidelines, you can compete. And obviously this woman did.
Do you think it's fair to the
Yes, I think it's totally fair. The Olympic Committee
It's a question of depression. Not reality, depression. Who is the more reliable and honest of the two? And in my opinion, a tie, he loses.
Judge, thank you. Wow, always plain speaking. The White House and Judge Brett Kavanaugh pushing back at a second allegation now against the Supreme Court nominee, while Democrats step up calls for Kavanaugh to withdraw. You just heard the judges take. Where all this may go next with the other judge, Kavanaugh, and his first.
Do you remember when gold was just $20 an ounce? Not long ago, you could buy 5 gold coins like these for $100. Gold coins worth today? More than 65 of these $100 bills. What will these 5 gold coins be worth in the future? 100, 200, 300? Who knows? The dollar has a long history of losing value. So popular retirement bank on the gold standard with the only asset that has been protecting purchasing power for over 2 billion.
Thanks to her eponymous afternoon chat show, Ellen DeGeneres is now the Madonna of daytime TV, the Cher of giving away free stuff, and the Bono of awkward awkward dancing, but that coveted status doesn't shield her from getting the occasional jab from a guest. It's usually all in good fun, but there have been several big-name celebs who came forward for a retort. So break out your cringe-o-meters, because we're about to reveal sometimes that the Ellen DeGeneres show got a little tense behind the tree trunk coffee table. Giada De Laurentiis. In a now classic 2017 cooking segment that went viral for all the wrong reasons, celebrity chef Giada De Laurentiis decided to start the whole thing with some innuendo about rice balls, then quickly pivoted to insulting DeGeneres' apparent lack of culinary skills.
Be delicate, because Ellen, that looks like dog food. Ellen, it's balls. That's not a ball.
De Laurentiis also took aim at fellow guest Nicole Kidman when she marveled at the actress's ball-shaping aptitude.
Oh my God, the woman who can't cook me a perfect ball.
From there, everything slid steadily, hilariously downhill as De Laurentiis doubled down on the shade until finally DeGeneres and Kidman struck back. After taking a bite out of De Laurentiis' clementine and fennel focaccia bread, DeGeneres mugged for the camera while struggling to chew it, and then Kidman chimed in.
I know.
Sean Hayes. In a conversation DeGeneres dubbed the Battle of the Gays, DeGeneres and Sean Hayes for some reason decided to one-up each other with pointed jabs about each other's careers. It played out like this. At DeGeneres' inability to smoothly transition from question to question, she counterpunched by mentioning the original cancellation.
Longer than your sitcom. Yeah, that's right. I had to come out first for y'all to do that sitcom. Go ahead.
The two of them, of course, fell out laughing after the whole exchange, but Hayes still learned the hard way that you do not come for DeGeneres on her home field, because she doesn't have a mercy rule. Caitlyn Jenner. Most of these moments are lighthearted in nature, but there was genuine tension when Caitlyn Jenner appeared. The interview started out great, with DeGeneres heaping praise on Jenner for her work with transgender rights activism, but things got a little hairy when DeGeneres asked Jenner to explain her past opposition to same-sex marriage.
I'm a traditionalist. I'm older than most people in the audience, you know. I mean, I kind of like tradition, and, you know, it's always been a man and a woman.
Though Jenner did say that she'd since come around to the idea, DeGeneres sensed that perhaps that wasn't entirely true.
And
it's funny because you're still kind of a little not on board with it.
No, I'm on board.
The awkwardness continued off the air. DeGeneres promoted the interview on Howard Stern.
She still has a judgment about gay marriage. And I said, you're wanting people to understand and accept you. This is like really.
Jenner later slammed both her appearance on Ellen and DeGeneres' interview on Stern, saying, "The discussion further alienated me from members of the LGBTQ community." Katy Perry. This particular insult may have been the most justified of all of these, because it came courtesy of Katy Perry when DeGeneres forgot about her marriage to Russell Brand. Yep, you heard that right. DeGeneres completely spaced on the fact that one of the most famous pop stars in the world married the weird guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Even Perry couldn't believe it when DeGeneres asked her if she'd been married.
His name was Russell Brand. Oh, that's right. I forgot about Russell. Yeah.
Remember, you gave me some wedding gifts on this show.
Yes, I do. That'll be cut out.
Wendy Williams. Fellow talk show queen Wendy Williams has a natural professional rivalry with DeGeneres. Perhaps that's why there have been a few slightly uncomfortable moments between the first ladies of talk in two different segments on Ellen. First, in a 2013 interview, DeGeneres barely hid her disdain for the not-so-subtle shade Williams threw at Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. At the time we're expecting a child. Moments later, Williams plugged her PETA ad by acknowledging DeGeneres' veganism.
That's all right. How do you live without bacon? Well, because I think pigs are smart animals. They're very smart animals.
3 years later, Williams came back and played Heads Up, the game where guests make DeGeneres guess the name of a celebrity. As a clue for Justin Bieber, Williams said,
"And some people say that he looks like you."
I've heard that. You've never heard that? They say it in a good way. I don't mind that. He's cute. He's adorable. Yeah. Really, yeah. I'm just saying. I know.
Justin Timberlake. Pop star Justin Timberlake is one of DeGeneres' favorite guests, so it made for an especially popcorn-worthy moment when he insulted her for not knowing the lyrics to one of his songs. While telling the story about how DeGeneres sent him a tequila-inspired sing-along of his jam Can't Stop the Feeling, Timberlake got onto her for repeatedly singing the lyrics incorrectly. The lesson here, if booze is your karaoke partner, maybe don't send a video of your duet to the original recording artist.
Any further proceedings related to the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh, I also ask that the newest allegations of sexual misconduct be referred to the FBI for investigation, and that you join our request.
You have 4 nipples. Have you heard that? Oh, you do.
Yeah.
4?
4.
Where can you just point out? Do you find yourself sexually attracted to me? There's no right answer.
Sure.
You said it's Ellie's hot?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it is, and it's ombre teal. It's lighter to the bottom. Then I have purple shoes on because
I just wanted to show you legs, as I was telling you ahead of time. You're gonna walk home with more than maybe just a shirt and size. I think lots of men.
I'm not gonna walk home with any men tonight.
Do it yourself. That's why you take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
Okay, right away. Harry. All right, Harry. Harry or Harry. No, I can't say that. All right, that's a six. All right. Why he'll take 300. Yeah. It's fun. Oh, it's nice for the next day's move.
Thank you.
At this point,
Cardi B.
Looks good.
All right. Are you from the Bronx?
We saw this.
Come with us.
And there you did it.
Vamos aquí, come with us.
Here.
Do you know the comedian Carrot Top?
Yes.
Well, you were like the Carrot Top of interviewers. Yeah.
Ooh.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good
Don't
thing.
cry now.
No, don't cry now. Cry after the interviews. Because otherwise I'll look like it was. So
Well, you are.
no, I don't want to know that.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
so
you know now.
I said your name at the camera. What else do you want from me?
A magic trick.
Okay. All right,
We can
so,
wrap this up.
hey,
Just a girl that you were in Bora Bora with?
Yes.
You just brought a friend to Bora Bora?
Yeah.
And you're just naked with your friends?
Why are you putting in a spot like this?
I have friends, I've never seen them naked like that. And they don't bring me to Bora Bora.
You're making me blush, dude. In real life, I'm terrified of pushing girls.
I heard that.
Stop, man!
Something about him, and you said, oh, I'm his homie, and now he's living in your homie. There's that.
If you could use makeup or your phone one last time, which one would you pick? Makeup or your phone?
Is this what you think girls have trouble choosing?
Yeah. Can you really go anywhere without your cell phone?
Yes.
How long can you go without looking at Twitter?
Many hours.
Hours.
Many hours.
I don't believe it.
Absolutely. I have to do it. When I'm at a dinner table, I like to be present and talking.
Good quality.
Eye contact.
Ladies, learn. Yeah. Listen and learn, ladies.
Boys learn.
Oh, right now we got our.
Have you seen the new?
Boys and girls, we can all learn.
I've been doing this more than you. You ain't got.
Come on, chill out.
You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't been doing the education. You ain't been doing the education. You don't have the answers though, because you trying to give me advice about something. You ain't got the answers. You ain't spent $13 million of your own money trying to empower yourself.
Yep, but I spent hundreds of thousands in putting out clothing lines at a smaller degree. All I'm asking you,
and it ain't no Ralph's though. It ain't Ralph's. What's the name of your clothing line? We don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Because I lost money, but that's not
exactly. And I can lose money on a higher level too. I want the nice car. I want the nice watch. I want to stay fresh. I want to stay clean. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. You should strive for greatness.
How did you gain all the weight?
What do you want me to say now?
Please.
No.
All right, tell me about it.
Asked for him. course.
Oh, yeah.
And then has he returned the favor? Yes, he always. How terrible was it? Yeah. So we get a sample.
The reason I'm asking about the past is that you've talked in other interviews again about your relationship with really what are we doing? Well, I'm just asking questions. That's all right.
Things are clearly going brilliantly in your career. I just wondered if you are as happy in your private life. Will we be seeing a certain Mr. Ashton Kutcher perhaps making a trip with you?
Well, how disappointing was that question?
We move on to another one.
Absolutely.
I think that was the question. We'll go move on.
I'm happy and I'm single, if that's what you're really asking.
How much weight have you lost to get into this shape right now?
Not just ask me that
I'm just saying, you're
question. What a full young man you are. My goodness, how much weight.
You ever worry about your moment having passed? You want to wrap up?
Now, were you able to wear undergarments?
You're like the fifth person that's
Well,
asked
no,
that.
because
What is going on? What? Since when did people start asking each other about injuries about their underwear?
No, because it is such a skin tight. Here's
I'll
why.
leave it up to your imagination. Well, I just asked me if I was wearing it.
I'm really interested in what you think makes you different. So forget about the comparisons. Who do you say Ariana Grande is?
Well, that's a big question. That's a very hard one. I don't know. I feel like you need to listen to my music and just get to know me.
Okay.
That's a hard one to answer. You can't just put me on the spot like that. I've loved music my whole life. And right now I'm in a position where I get to do it and pursue it. And it's sort of my life now. So that's a dream come true. If I think about it for too long, it gets a little intimidating. But not really. I really enjoy it. And I'm so blessed and so lucky.
If when you go to McDonald's, people give you crowns, which seems cruel to me. Does it bother you does it bother you at all that you look so much younger than your age? Because some girls don't like it.
No, I don't really focus too much on that. I think if I did, I would be giving into my ego, and then I would be very not productive. I feel like I want to spend my time on other things. But also, I feel like I'm in this because I like making music, not because I want to be a supermodel. If I look young, then that'll help me out when I'm 40 and I look 30. I think women should be able to express themselves however they like. I mean, I think that's feminism, taking pride in your body, taking pride in your work, and doing whatever you want.
How you feeling? How you feeling here?
I'm a little less nervous than when I walked in.
Right, it's not that bad. It's not that scary.
I don't know.
Really? What about this is frightening you?
I'm talking right at you now. There's cameras everywhere. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're all smiling and that's fine. But it's a bit of an unnatural environment. I'm used to being down to my local pub with the boys.
So this is the same.
I cannot wait to tell them about this later. You don't understand because when I go back in the States, then they all do sort of quite normal jobs, and I say, well, I'm interviewing Mila Kunis. It's going to be a hard one to believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But I'll get massive lad points for it.
Do you get a free drink out of it?
I hope so.
I hope so too, buddy. You're doing a fantastic job.
Okay.
I hope you get a whole round of whiskey?
Jaeger bombs.
Jaeger bombs. That is disgusting.
We made this drink called, I don't know say this, but we got these lad bombs. Which are
Guinness?
No, it's where you put Jaeger into the Red Bull. It's shot Jaeger into a double vodka Red Bull.
Okay. That sounds like the worst drink ever.
Would you like? I mean, you could come join us.
Where's your pub?
It's a pub with Misty Moon. But to be honest, that's not very good. You could go to Watford, which is our local town.
Okay. I mean, I'm probably not going to do it today because I'm deathly ill, but I will maybe come join you if you buy me a, what did you call it?
Oh, a lab bomb. That's lovely. You'd really get on with one of my mates, Sir Dosser.
Sir Dosser?
Yeah, he writes music.
His name is Sir Dosser. I love him already.
Yeah, there's Sir Dosser, the Convict, Chango the Beast.
You are awesome. These are your friends.
Yeah, they're all my boys.
As if that wasn't bad enough, and your insurance won't replace that price because of depreciation. You'd be better off just taking your money and throwing it right in the water. With new car replacement, if your brand new car gets totaled, Liberty Mutual will pay the entire value plus depreciation. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Fox News alert, the White House says President Trump and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein are set to meet on Thursday now amid questions over his job status. Rosenstein is facing renewed scrutiny over a report that he suggested secretly reporting the president and invoking the 20th Amendment to remove him from office. Rosenstein has denied those claims. Power panel now. Dan Henninger, Wall Street Journal editorial page deputy editor. Judy Miller, Pulitzer Prize winning author, adjunct fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Both are Fox News contributors. Great to see you both. Okay, Rod Rosenstein. You know what, Judy, I want to just start with you on where Brett Baer and I were earlier, and that's the journalism that kind of got us here. And I always want to put it in air quotes because we kind of learned who's talking to who.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, this latest crisis for Rosenstein really began with the New York Times article alleging that he was considering, actually suggesting a kind of bloodless coup in which the 25th Amendment would be used to get the president out of office. It was a heavily anonymously sourced story. It started a firestorm yet again in the White House. Mr. Rosenstein has been under pressure for a long, long time because of his oversight of the Mueller inquiry. But we're now talking about stories that drive news, that drive presidential reactions, that drive firings or resignations. We're in a whole nother world here of kind of hurt and blame and pain and implications and repercussions and chaos. Utter chaos.
That's none of the Democratic strategy here, whether it's because they just are turned off by all of the sort of anarchy happening around the Trump presidency. And I think it's all of a piece with what is happening, whether it is Rod Rosenstein or Jeff Kavanaugh.
Being told to check out some breaking details here. Kind of texture for the story. Apparently, Chief of Staff John Kelly also met with Rod Rosenstein to talk about this New York Times article on Friday.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that a lot of meetings are being held and a lot of people are asking Mr. Rosenstein about what he said and whether or not what he said was in jest or seriously. I mean,
Does it matter?
I'm not sure that it matters at this point. Given where we are in the Mueller inquiry, if the reporting is to be believed, we are nearing the end of this process. So
when you say something, sometimes you do put it this joke if you want to slip some money in with that vinegar. It doesn't mean that it's not true. From my own reporting and what I've seen people do and how they handle things.
And the idea that Rod Rosenstein would be suggesting using the 25th Amendment is absurd. No one is serious.
Even as a joke.
Even as a joke. I mean, even no one is serious as Rod Rosenstein would consider using the 25th Amendment unless the president was incapacitated, which suggests to me that this is basically a made-up story. And there's nothing wrong with the White House asking him to come up and clarify the situation, given the volatility of what is going on right now.
So you think it's made up? Completely fabricated.
I think it's yes.
It's like shaking her head. No, I don't think it is. I think people are looking for a political and partisan purpose.
Nasty.
The danger for Donald Trump is that it would inflame the obstruction of justice idea, the meaning that has now taken hold. That's a political danger for him, if not a legal one.
All right, power panel stays. We're excited about that. The White House firing back after another woman has come forward with allegations of sexual misconduct against Judge Brett Kavanaugh. We will come back on what it means for the confirmation process going forward.
He's not calling this a smear campaign. Indeed, this is starting to feel like a vast left-wing conspiracy.
First member out there. If you're thinking about buying a home, you should come to New Day USA first. There's no money down. It's the best vehicle that a person who's served in the military or is serving today has today to have a new home. We can possibly get that better in our home. We're going to do it at New Day USA. Why would you rent today when you can buy your own home and participate in the American dream?
Call 1-855-630-9103.
If you're the spouse of a veteran who served our country, you served too. And no matter where in the world it was, you made each house a home. Now it's time to own a home of your own. Call New Day USA. Your spouse's VA home loan benefit lets your family buy a home with no down payment. And you don't have to save up to move up. I rent when you can buy. Call New Day USA right now.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-855-630-9103. It's a new day in America. Everywhere you look, things are improving. Our president promised, and he's keeping his word. Thanks to President Donald Trump, more people are going to work today, and millions of jobs have been created. Tax relief means more money in paychecks, retirement funds in the stock market unleashed and roaring back. The mainstream media, they want it better, but the leadership of President Donald Trump is making America's economy great again. South Korea's president speaks out inside his meetings with Kim Jong-un and what it will really take to end North Korea's nuke program. Fred's powerful interview on Special Report Tuesday.
I'm a survivor of childhood sexual assault from the time I was 10 until I was every single day. The court process was difficult and painful. It can completely destroy a victim. You're not informed of court dates, denied the chance to tell your story. And the person that did this to you has stronger rights than you. The scales of justice in Florida are not balanced. It's time for equal rights. Please vote yes on Amendment 6.
I'm Rick Scott, and I approve this message.
Bill Nelson's been running for office in Florida since 1972. Can you name one thing he's done? I'll keep waiting. Bill Nelson votes his party line 89% of the time, and that's when he bothers to show up at all. Nelson skipped 45% of the hearings on national security. National security. Bill Nelson doesn't write laws. He doesn't even show up. Bill Nelson's chair is empty, even when he's in it.
Fred Hudson is retiring from Hudson's Furniture, and he's going out with a bang. It's the biggest sale in Hudson's history. Get 60 to 80% off store-wide, plus an extra discount equal to your sales tax, and free delivery. But wait, there's more. Pay no interest for up to 60 months. $20 million in inventory has to go, so you'll pay just pennies on the dollar. Get up to 80% off. Hurry, because when it's gone, it's gone.
Hi everyone, I'm doing that there for Dana Korea today. We have quite a show for you. We're waiting for President Trump to head to a meeting with the president of South Korea as the UN General Assembly gets underway here in New York. With the future of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein very unclear at this hour, and with more allegations surfacing against the Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Will he address those topics? Find out today on the Daily Briefing. Fox News alert pushback from Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh at the White House after a second woman has come forward with sexual misconduct allegations against the judge. That woman says he exposed himself to her at a party when they were students at Yale University. Kavanaugh and the White House calling it a smear campaign. Let's watch it.
She has said she can't be sure. She has said there are gaps in her own knowledge, that she was inebriated that as well. But she can come and tell that story. I do think it's very circular though to have a New Yorker story come out with much thinner evidence than Ronan Farrow is used to having in his articles, and then the Democrats say, "Oh my God, look at this! We have to investigate."
Meanwhile, some Democrats are blasting claims that these allegations are politically motivated.
This is a part of their narrative that this is all politically motivated. They cannot get to the idea that this investigation needs to occur. They cannot get their arms around the fact that women do not make these things up. And they just want to obfuscate that by calling it politically motivated. That's because they can't face the truth.
our panel did say, Dan Henninger and Judy Miller. All right, so just the last couple of minutes when we were in that commercial break, we learned that Judge Kavanaugh has sent another letter to Senators Grassley and Feinstein calling it a smear campaign. I don't know if you guys were watching previously. You had that language used by the congressman from Florida, Yoho. He also talked about character assassination, brought up Roy Moore from Alabama, widened out the conversation a bit. Judy, your thoughts?
You know, we spoke earlier, Harris. You mentioned the fact that if we have an allegation, that's one thing. If we have a pattern, that's something else. But I think what we're seeing here is a split that's totally along partisan lines. Republicans want to believe just what Congressman Yoho said, and Democrats want to believe that Judge Kavanaugh is not fit to serve on the court. I think that the American people are going to decide when they see Dr. Ford testify and Judge Kavanaugh respond. It's up to the American people.
We saw that in Alabama, right?
Yes,
I mean,
we did.
that's what the conversation brought up. You know what I have that kind of mirrors what you're talking about is me talking to Foley, can we pop it up? About things falling along party lines. Democrats, 59% Christine Ford, or rather support for Christine Ford, and then 60% of Republicans support Brett Kavanaugh. Your thoughts, Stu?
Well, you know, we're supposed to use advisory consent to confirm people to the Supreme Court, not opinion polls, unless that's the system we want to use. And just to Judy's point, I'd like to note that if you read the New York Times story on this latest accusation, got to the middle of it on the inside pages, the New York Times said they, in the past weeks, have interviewed several dozen people, none of whom could provide first-hand corroboration of this incident. So you've got here a second-hand hearsay that was not allowed into a court of law. And I want to say one more thing.
But this is not a court of law, and that's what everyone is reminding me.
It is a nomination for the Supreme Court.
Believe.
But we don't conduct Supreme Court nominations based on opinion polls. And I will tell you this, I think Chairman Grassley and the Republicans have to get to this vote and stand firm, or their base is going to collapse. Because Republicans and Republican voters are getting very frustrated with the Democratic strategy of delay on the Kavanaugh nomination.
You see it bringing people out then among the GOP for the midterm elections, because that's been part of the concern too among Republican leadership.
I think as it develops along the lines it is, of accused of things for which there is no defense, yes, it could drive Republican turnout.
Judy, before I come to you, the Kavanaugh letter also says to Grassley and Feinstein senators that he will not be intimidated into withdrawing.
Well, we now know that he will not follow Rod Rosenstein. Either way, we're in a very difficult situation. I think Thursday is going to be crucial.
If this standard is established, it can be used against anyone, including Democrats.
We're coming right back. Thank you both.
Thanks. I wish you weren't so worried about me.
I'm hoping these nature sounds will help me relax a bit. At least we don't have to worry about homeowners insurance.
Just call Geico.
Geico helps with homeowners insurance? Good to know.
Feeling better.
I love you, Cookie Bear.
Ozempic. In a study with Ozempic, a majority of adults lowered their blood sugar and reached an A1C of less than 7 and maintained. Oh, under 7? And you may lose weight. In the same 1-year study, adults lost on average up to 12 pounds.
Oh, up to 12 pounds?
A 2-year study showed that Ozempic does not increase the risk of major cardiovascular events like heart attack, stroke, or death.
Oh, no increased risk? Oh.
Ozempic should not be the first medicine for treating diabetes or for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Do not share needles or pens. Don't reuse needles. Do not take Ozempic if you have a personal or family history of medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you are allergic to Ozempic. Stop taking Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, itching, rash, or trouble breathing. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis. Tell your doctor if you have diabetic retinopathy or vision changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase the risk for low blood sugar. Common side effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, and constipation. Some side effects can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
Discover the potential with Ozempic.
Next time she swam off with the camera. Like, hey, that's right. I want to keep filming it up. That's the retirement fund. My annuity, I know there's a guarantee.
Annuities can provide protected income for life. Learn more at retirementrisk.org.
Down through the plane with Quincy went. We never landed anywhere until we landed right here. Instruments never detected a thing.
What exactly is the problem?
We've all been missing for 5.5 years.
Manifest. Check your local listings.
Don't wait for a chip like this to crack your whole windshield. With SafeLight's exclusive resin, you get a strong repair that you can trust. With most insurance, a SafeLight repair is no cost to you.
SafeLight repair, SafeLight replace.
Hi, I'm Ty Young. What if there was an investment strategy? What if that investment strategy actually existed? Good news, it does. Get your investors kit and I'll personally explain on the DVD how it works. You decide if it's right for you.
Get your investors kit. Call 800-557-7379 or tyjyoung.net.
It has been a very busy afternoon of breaking news. Glad you were watching Outnumbered Overtime for part of it. Here's Julie Banderas and for my friend Dana. Fox News alert on fast-moving developments and a white-hot spotlight on Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. A Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh defends himself in a new we're just hearing about to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Banderas in for Dana. Karina, put on your seatbelts. This is going to be quite a ride. This is the Daily Briefing. So we begin with Rod Rosenstein at the White House this morning amid feverish reports his job was in jeopardy. Then heading back to the Justice Department with an appointment to see the president this Thursday. The same day, Judge Kavanaugh's accuser is set to testify in a dramatic public hearing on Capitol Hill. And we have live Fox team coverage for you today. John Roberts covering President Trump at the United Nations. But we begin with Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge in Washington. Hi, Catherine.
Well, thanks, Julie. A short time ago, the White House Secretary confirming the President and Deputy Attorney General had accomplished about the reporting Friday that Rosenstein discussed reporting the president and invoking the 25th Amendment to remove him. Allegations Rosenstein vigorously denied. This statement leaves Rosenstein's future in limbo until Thursday. And this morning, the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee urged him to hold on.
He shouldn't take a step affirmatively and essentially let the president off the hook. This looks to me like a slow-moving Saturday Night Massacre. It seems like the only question is whether these steps take place now or they take place after the midterms when the president believes he'll pay less of a political price for it.
The Deputy Attorney General was at the White House earlier today for a previously scheduled meeting. A New York Times report that Rosenstein discussed wearing a wire and invoking the 25th Amendment said memos drafted by the former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and now some lawmakers want to see those memos.
I don't think it's enough to just bring the documents in.
A witness in any obstruction of justice case against the president or the firing of FBI Director James Comey because he drafted the memo that was cited by the president. Rosenstein signed the final surveillance warrant for Trump campaign aide Carter Page and is a witness in the Inspector General's review. Rosenstein figures in the so-called McCabe memos drafted by Comey's deputy, where he allegedly discussed wearing a wire, which he denies. And then there's a renewed focus, we understand, among the president's advisors on Rosenstein's decision to appoint Robert Mueller as special counsel in mid-May of 2017, shortly after Mueller interviewed with the president to be Comey's replacement as FBI director. Mueller had been FBI director for 12 years under Presidents Bush and Obama. Special counsel investigation is really, frankly, well established at this point. And if Rosenstein left, the Justice Department's Solicitor General, would be next. The president could appoint someone else, but they would have to be Senate confirmed. But frankly, that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves. We have to see what really unfolds on Thursday, Julie.
Right, and whether he resigns or gets fired makes a big difference in that change. All right, stays the course. All right, Catherine Herridge, thank you very much. Meanwhile, new word from the White House on the next steps for Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. We could also be hearing from President Trump this hour when he heads to a meeting with South Korea's leader. John Roberts is live at the White House with this. Hey, John.
Julie, good afternoon to you. The president's going to spend an hour, maybe a little more, with Moon Jae-in of South Korea. The two of them will have a bilateral meeting to South Korea-U.S. free trade agreement.
The president also has on his mind what to do about Rod Rosenstein, the White House press secretary, issuing a statement a short time ago saying at the request of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, he and President Trump had an extended conversation to discuss recent news stories because the president is at the United Nations General Assembly and has a full schedule with Leon Kelly. The two of them had a conversation about the allegations. After that meeting, Rosenstein put out a stronger statement that he had out before. They talked again over the weekend. We are told by Jay Gibson, our Department of Justice producer, that the subject of Rosenstein's possible resignation principals meeting, talking about firing, will be put off until this Thursday. Here at the Press Filing Center for the United Nations General Assembly, the White House press corps, we had three visitors today: John Bolton, the National Security Advisor, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and Nikki Haley, the UN ambassador. Pompeo and Haley have been in the administration since the very beginning, so any talk of Rosenstein trying to build support for the 25th Amendment removal of the president might have included conversations with them, that they both denied earlier today very strongly that they ever heard any such talk. Listen here.
I have never once been in the White House where that conversation has happened. I'm not aware of any cabinet members that are even talking about that. It is completely and totally absurd.
I've been at the center of this administration, along with lots of other folks, from virtually day one. I think it was actually day 3 or 4. I've never heard anyone talk about it, whisper about it, joke about it in any way.
Very strong denials there from the Secretary of State and the United Nations ambassador. The president began meeting with Moon by chance to press the questions at him. He's also meeting with Egyptian President al-Sisi and French President Macron. So, Julie, plenty of opportunity to ask the president what he's thinking about when it comes to the Deputy Attorney General.
All right, we will look forward to that on Thursday. John Roberts, thank you. We're talking about now Brett Kavanaugh speaking out. In fact, just sending a letter to members of the Judiciary Committee. Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel is live on.
That's right, Julie. Sending a letter moments ago to Chairman Chuck Grassley and the top Democrat on the committee, Dianne Feinstein, writing, "These are fears, pure and simple, and they debase our public discourse, but they are also a threat to any man or woman who wishes to serve our country. I will not be intimidated into withdrawn from this process. The coordinated effort to destroy my good name will not drive me out." Earlier today, President Trump says he is standing by for me.
His governor's an outstanding person, and I am with them all the way. We'll see how it goes with the Senate, we'll see how it goes with the vote. I think it could be, there's a chance that this could be one of the single most unfair things that happened to a candidate.
Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton is losing patience, saying the Democrats are engaged in a campaign of delay and character assassination. Issues are deeply concerning and reinforce the need for the FBI to investigate claims against Judge Kavanaugh. Speaking up takes courage.
All of this talk about why wasn't this brought forward and all that, I think they stand it. Now, these are the most heinous kind of crimes that can injure a person physically. You see women sit around making this stuff up, as though who needs that? You can see that environment. Dr. Ford's life has been upended.
That sets the stage for Thursday's hearing, which is likely to be hyper-partisan and feisty. Julie.
All right, Mike Emanuel, of course, will be covering it. Thank you. Reaction on Capitol Hill to the latest developments on Rod Rosenstein, what lawmakers are saying about his future and that of the Russia investigation. Plus, the White House digging in as Brett Kavanaugh defends himself amid new allegations of sexual misconduct.
It's a sword with some vineyard clippings, the razor cuts off the blunt angled lock. I'm retiring, though I swan song.
What?
This is a case of moderate to severe ulcerative colitis. Even when I was there, I never knew when my symptoms would keep us apart. So I talked to my doctor about Humira. I think Humira or no symptoms.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and just about Humira. With Humira, control is possible.
We've heard of Angie-Slice, but we didn't really know what it did.
I know they've got reviews for home grows, but so do a lot of websites.
I didn't want to pay to join. Then I found out it's free. Wait, it's free? It's free to check ratings, read reviews. And Angie's List reviews are written by real customers. So I know the pros have done quality work.
And now they'll even match my project with a few qualified pros for the job.
And it's all free. To get the most reviews from real customers, all for free, go to angieslist.com today.
Never before has it been more important to protect your assets, IRAs, and 401ks from the financial crisis that we're facing. I've worked hard for my money, and I'm not about to lose it now. With all the financial craziness in the world, I protect my retirement by buying gold every chance I get. I buy my gold from Roslyn Capital because I trust them. No sales gimmicks there. Roslyn will beat any price of any coin at any time. Just call. And Roslyn will send you free information on how you can protect your assets and your retirement. So protect your future from the problems of the world. Invest in stability with Roslyn Capital.
Call now for your free gold, silver, and ice. And for a limited time, Roslyn is offering a $1,000 discount free to qualifying new customers. Call 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900. Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headline 24/7. Channel 150.
Fox News alert: the fate of the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein very much in the air as he has a date to speak with President Trump now on Thursday. Let's bring in Michael Moore, a former U.S. rumored that there was a potential firing going to be happening today when Rod Rosenstein was asked to go to the White House and he was potentially going to be meeting with John Kelly. Now there's a meeting between he and the president. What do you think is going to happen at that meeting?
The reason that if the president wanted to fire Rosenstein, he couldn't have done it today. So it looks like probably just some effort to delay it out and push it a little further out. Maybe to try to exact some statement about his intention with the Mueller investigation. I don't know. But there would have been no reason if he wanted to terminate him that he couldn't have done it.
A lot of his, President Trump's allies have said, hold off on making a decision on Rosenstein, just like you said, until Kavanaugh hearing is over. But it doesn't look like this Kavanaugh hearing is going to end just overnight. Then you've got Senator Lindsey Graham basically voicing his concerns and believing that he does not believe that the president should fire Rosenstein unless he has absolute proof that Rosenstein in fact lied. Let's listen to Graham.
After the election, they're trying to undermine the president. I don't know what Rosenstein did, but I know what McCabe paid for Trump.
All right, let's talk about what Rosenstein allegedly did. According to the New York Times, that's why this all came up. He was going to talk about, invoking the amendment to, in fact, get the president impeached. And then he talked about the possibility of wiretapping, or not wiretapping, wiring himself up and recording the president unbeknownst to the president. But then he later said he was saying that in jest, it was sarcasm. Whether you record the president or not without his knowing, it's not illegal. It's certainly unethical. If Rosenstein planned on doing so, is that not grounds to get fired?
I think if there was a serious plan to go in there and surreptitiously record the president, then that may be grounds. But remember that there was this fire in Jim Comey. There was these statements that the president made at the time about, well, we better watch out for tapes, if I remember right. Better hope it's not recorded.
Right.
I know Rod Rosenstein. I've worked with him, and he's a deliberate guy. He's an honorable guy. And my belief is that if this was even said, it was clearly said in jest. I mean, I can imagine after Comey was fired, anybody who was going to meet with the president, after hearing that the president saying he may have recorded the meeting, say, well, maybe I need to wire it, have all recorded.
It became a joke. It became a joke.
Yeah, in the White House. Absolutely. I mean, I don't put any stock about that. The 25th Amendment, I mean, people have been talking about that in Congress.
Right.
Now, so if that's a disqualified for the job, then we're going to have a lot of open seats in the Congress and the Senate. So I really think this is probably well taken out of context, but I also think because it was an anonymous report now that we got, that all this was said, I think that this may be an effort within the administration to move Rosenstein out. You're seeing the Mueller investigation tighten up. You're seeing people being charged. You're seeing Manafort cooperate. You're seeing all these things. Mike Cohen cooperate. And so some of the pressure is at an side. And so that they can hopefully get in and control Mueller investigation, put somebody in there who will move the Mueller investigation the way they want.
The president, if he is going to have his way, would rather that, of course, Rosenstein resign versus fired, because then that would give the president the right to go ahead and appoint a new deputy AG. So we'll have to wait and see how that meeting goes on Thursday. At the meantime, same time that Michael Kavanaugh and his first accuser will be testifying. 1 week ahead. All right.
Memphis, Tennessee, a city with one of the highest increases of women-owned businesses in the U.S.
And it's really this constant juxtaposition when you're a mom and entrepreneur.
Witness my time.
Plan your financial life with Prudential. Bring your challenges.
Hi, I'm Barry Slow of Newtek, your business solutions company. Does your business need money? Whether you need 10,000 or 10 million, you can count on Newtek, the nation's largest non-bank government guaranteed lender. Newtek can help your business expand and grow. With a we can qualify you in just 48 hours. And with rates as low as 6%, you can see why so many businesses turn to Newtek. To see how easy getting a loan can be, contact Newtek, your business solution company today.
Every year, 790,000 Americans suffer from a heart attack. It can happen anywhere, anytime. But during a suspected heart attack, immediately calling 911 and chewing Bear aspirin can help save a life. Carry Bear aspirin helps save a life.
All right, I brought in new Max Pro Protein you need. With less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. New Ensure Max Protein and 2 great flavors.
Is it me, or do all banks feel the same? That's why Capital One is building something completely different. Capital One cafes, welcoming places, with people here to help you, not sell you. With savings and checking accounts with no fees or minimums. That are from right here or anywhere in 5 minutes. No smoke, no mirrors. This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
South Korea's president speaks out inside his meetings with Kim Jong-un and what it will really take to end North Korea's nuke program. Press powerful.
Kavanaugh sending a new letter to the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Supreme Court nominee, calling the allegations against him a smear campaign. Let's bring in Dusty Walker, former law clerk for Justice Kennedy and Judge Kavanaugh. Thank you very much for coming on to talk to us. So Judge Kavanaugh came out with a letter to the Senate Judiciary Committee, basically is not standing down. I want to read a part of to succeed will dissuade competent and good people of all political persuasions from service. He also in the letter talks about how he will not be intimidated into withdrawing. Many people have wondered at what point, how many accusations have to come out before the president, in fact, withdraws his nomination. The president continues to stand behind him, and here Kavanaugh is obviously standing on firm ground. Your thoughts?
Well, there's nothing about Judge Kavanaugh's statement that is surprising to me. I think that he's one of the rare people I know who, if he says he didn't do something, I feel sure that he didn't do it. I certainly have known successful, nice, impressive people with good resumes that I wouldn't make that statement about. But Judge Kavanaugh, if he says he didn't do it, I believe he didn't do it. And I think what's going through his mind in preparing for the Thursday statement is all he's going to do is tell the truth.
How do the GOP senators then approach his first accuser? Because, of course, they don't want to come across as badgering a potential victim of sexual misconduct, but at the same time, they need to try to clear Judge Kavanaugh's name. So how do they go about that questioning without angering some within their own base with, the midterm elections just 6 weeks away? This is certainly creating murky waters for the GOP.
Well, there's probably...
He says that it's not accurate to say that those who knew him at the time dispute this. I want to run some sound from an interview with Ronan Farrell on ABC News.
It is not accurate to say that those who knew him at the time dispute this. We talked to a roommate from the time that was living with him when this election incident took place. He said he was indeed frequently drunk, that he took part in activity that made him unsurprised by this claim, and that he found this woman credible. He's one of the several people in this story who backed Ms. Ramirez.
Now, on Friday, the president tweeted that he had no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement. Now there's a second accuser, and those within the school have conflicting stories. The second accuser says that there are holes in her memory due to the amount of alcohol she had consumed that night. What do you believe will be happening on Thursday?
Well, I certainly hope once again that when Dr. Ford is questioned, that she's not questioned by people who are making unfounded assumptions about how long it should or shouldn't take a woman to tell her story. Once again, in this case, I firmly believe that Judge Kavanaugh did this. I also believe that every woman who makes an accusation like this should be heard, should be treated with respect, and should not be told that it was her duty to tell her story before she was ready to tell her story.
Okay. It is not uncommon, though, for those women who have been victims of sexual misconduct to not report, and there are a number of reasons why. For fear of not being believed, for fear of retaliation. So nonetheless, whatever the story may be, it takes a huge amount of courage for any woman to come forward, and we look forward to hearing the truth, hopefully on Thursday. Justin Walker, thank you so much. We are awaiting a meeting with President Trump and the President of the Republic of Korea as the UN General Assembly gets underway here in New York City. Plus, the President calling sexual misconduct allegations against the Supreme Court totally political, but as new claims surface, how will it impact the midterm elections? Our panel weighs in.
The pain in my hips is getting worse and worse.
I ordered relief factors for pain I was having in my neck and my knees. After 30 years of back pain, I have found relief.
I am pain free. I love it.
I am so glad that I ordered relief factor. I'm now pain free. Thank you, relief factor.
Most often, how thing it is to hear all wonderful relief factor success stories happen weekend. Let me ask you, are aches and pains keeping you from sleeping through the night, or keeping you from taking those nice long walks, or playing golf, or tennis? You can't really call it living if you can't get around comfortably. The 3-week quick start with relief factor may be all you need to lower or even eliminate pain. Here's something you need to know. The majority of people who order the 3-week quick start, now only $19.95, go on to order more. Let's see if we get you out of pain too. Go to relieffactor.com.
I'm Dr. Sean Murphy. I have autism.
He sticks to his job and fights when he thinks it's right. The Good Doctor premieres after Dancing with the Stars on ABC.
Stop fearing your alarm clock with new ZzzQuil Pure Z's, a drug-free blend of botanicals with melatonin that supports your natural sleep cycle, so you can seize the morning. New ZzzQuil Pure Z's.
This is a ClassAction.com alert. The shingles vaccine Zostavax is supposed to prevent shingles, but they actually cause shingles and other injuries, including vision problems, hearing loss, stroke, pneumonia, and more, even death. If you received the Zostavax vaccine and were diagnosed with shingles or suffered injuries as a result, you may be eligible to claim compensation for medical bills, lost wages, and pain and suffering. Call the number on your screen or visit ClassAction.com. ClassAction.com. Information, protection, justice. Are you thinking of buying a stair lift? This essential free guide will answer all your questions. You can find out how a stair lift can improve your life in a few easy steps with this free guide packed full of detailed information. All of your questions answered. What should I think about when buying a stair lift? What type of stair lift will suit my home?
What difference can a stair lift make in my life? Answers to these and many more with this free guide to buying a stair lift. A stair lift can be crucial to you staying independent in your own home. They were invented to make your life easier. And this free practical guide, produced with the help of Acorn Stair Lifts, will make it easier for you to choose the one that's right for you. So call now, 1-800-908-1851 for your free copy of your guide to buying a stair lift and have all of your stair lift questions answered today. 1-800-908-1851.
I know every time that I sit up, there's a chance that that's the last time. Miles an hour, that's where I go wrong. I might be crazy, but I'm not stupid. Having an annuity tells me my retirement is protected.
Annuities can provide protected income for life. Learn more at retireyourisk.org.
Off News Alert, lawmakers reacting to all the speculation about the future of Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein at the Justice Department. While Democrats push for legislation to protect the Mueller investigation. Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy tweeting, Saturday night massacres don't need to happen on a Saturday. If President Trump fires DAG Rod Rosenstein or forces his resignation, he will come one giant leap closer to directly meddling with the special counsel's Russia investigation. Peter Ducey is live on Capitol Hill to explain more on this. Hey, Peter.
Julie, Democratic lawmakers are starting to lay the groundwork to hold emergency hearings if Rod Rosenstein leaves his job as the Deputy Attorney General in charge of the Mueller investigation. The top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, Elijah Cummings, just said this in a statement: Mr. Rosenstein's removal would plunge our nation into uncharted territory and pose a serious and profound threat to the continued work of the special counsel. And I would expect the American people to be outraged if President Trump's extended campaign to interfere with this investigation results in Mr. Rosenstein's ouster. The top Democrat on the House Intel Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff, is also chiming in now on Twitter. He writes this: under no circumstances should Rod Rosenstein resign. This would place the Mueller investigation in even greater jeopardy. Rosenstein should continue to do his job, protect the independence of the DOJ, and if the president intends to obstruct justice, force Trump to fire him. The Senate right now is actually trying to pass a law that would protect the Mueller investigation. We have heard already some specifics from New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. She just said this: the Senate must step up to protect the special counsel. Immediately, we must pass the bipartisan bill to protect the Mueller investigation. The American people deserve answers about Russian interference in our democracy. Other senators that I have spoken to say they just don't know enough about what might be going on behind the scenes with Rod Rosenstein, but Democrats certainly a lot faster to weigh into the possibility of him leaving than Republicans have been.
All right, Peter Ducey, thank you very much for more on this. I'm joined now by Shelby Holiday here in studio with me, senior video reporter at the Wall Street Journal. Okay, so Rosenstein is basically the man in the middle. He is the man responsible for the Russia investigation, because of course, as we know, the Attorney General Jeff Sessions recused himself of this. If Rosenstein is gone, what happens to Mueller's probe?
Well, there are two paths this could go, and it really depends on the path taken. If Rosenstein resigns, that gives President Trump a lot more leeway to put in place a successor. President Trump has more say in who becomes the next Rod Rosenstein. If he is fired, then this line of succession kicks into play. It's the government's line of succession. It first goes to the Solicitor General and then to various assistant attorney generals in charge of the Office of Legal Counsel, the Criminal Division, the Civil Division. So President Trump would have less of a say in who would take Rosenstein's place. Most experts agree, though, regardless, Solicitor General Noel Francisco would take over the probe. There are some questions about